Hey guys, Rob here. Today's video, I want to get down to the basics of survival, and I want to show you guys how to use one of these here. This is a ferrocerium rod and or a fire steel, and I want to show you guys how you guys can make your own fires without having to use a lighter, any type of accelerants, or anything like that. All you're going to need is the ferro rod and a good knife, and you're good to go. So you guys may have noticed that we've been doing more and more survival-based scenarios and things like that. Reason being is just because of the state of the world, and I think that a lot of these things are just really good things to know, things that to be able to pass down and teach and show others. Very simple things too, and I feel that with fire making it can sound very intimidating, especially if you're new to bushcraft or you're new to any type of survival stuff, camping, anything like that. You just think, oh, it's so overwhelming, I can never learn that. But the truth is you can, and it's a lot easier than you think. Now for me personally, I absolutely love using ferro rods, just like this here. I typically don't carry one this big all the time. I use a much smaller one, but I typically prefer using a ferro rod over a Bic lighter any day. And reason being is because the ferro rod is gonna work no matter what the conditions are. It's always gonna throw a spark. Your Bic lighter, it'll throw a spark, it'll make a flame and everything, and it can get stuff done quickly, but it does rely on gas. And if you run out of that gas, then your lighter is almost useless. But you can make sparks with this thing. Every lighter does have a very small ferro rod built into it. That's what creates the spark. But the sparks are small, and if it's a windy situation or it's a wet situation, you're gonna struggle with that. If you have a big ferro rod like this here, or even one like this, a little bit smaller, you're still gonna be able to get really good hot sparks. So even if this thing is wet, it's cold, it's hot outside, it's always gonna work. These ferro rods are very inexpensive. This one right here I've had for many years. This is a 3/8 inch thickness steel rod here by about 6 inches, and I paid about 15 bucks for this thing. This will last more than a lifetime. You cannot outstrike this thing. And then I've also got some smaller ones as well, like this one right here. And you can get a whole pack of these for like, I don't know, 8 or 10 bucks. You can get about 3 or 4 of these in a pack. Very cheap and very reliable. So as far as like my everyday carry goes, I always have a ferro rod with me no matter what, because I think making fires and having the ability to make fires are just more important than you know. So I carry a Leatherman Surge all the time, and I've also got my sheath, my holster for it, and this has all the tools. I did do a separate video on what I EDC as far as all this right here goes. If you guys want to check it out, I'll put a link up in the video. But this has everything that I need here, including a little micro ferro rod that I can also use as well. So I just pulled it out here. You guys see how tiny that is? And I've made many fires with this thing and my Leatherman. And I just use the back of the saw blade because it has a really sharp 90-degree edge on the back of that blade there, and that will allow me to get a really good spark off this thing if I needed to. I also, as a backup, I do EDC a Bic lighter, but I typically will keep this in my pack. My Leatherman is on me, so this is a backup just in case, but typically I feel a lot more confident using this here, and it's just a lot more fun to use. So here are just a few examples of a couple of my knives and stuff, and just to give you guys ideas that you don't have to have anything in particular really. The most important thing is having a knife that has a 90-degree edge on the back of it right here. So we have a really nice sharp 90-degree edge there. I've got this halt bar right here, and it's got some jimping. I ground down a small section right here just so I can cast better sparks with the ferro rod. It's a little bit difficult having to do it with the jimping there. And then we've got a couple of multi-tools right here, and you can make sparks with these as well. This is the NEXTORCH Pioneer, and this is a really good, affordable, high quality multi-tool here. And you can use the back of that saw blade there to cast sparks as well. So not only do you have a way to cut and make tinder, you also have a way to actually produce the spark itself just by using the saw blade, the back of the saw blade here. This is gonna run a lot cheaper. This is about 99 bucks. There might be a promo code I can add into the video for this one right here, because I was sent this right here, but this is a very high quality multi-tool. And this one right here is gonna run you about $160 for the Leatherman here. Both have really good warranties on them and should do really well. So before we move on and actually start trying to make a fire itself, there are a few things that we need to make sure that we have in order. We need to have our wood source pre-gathered. So we're gonna have to look around for kindling, and I'll explain what all these different things are later on after we collect it all. So we need kindling, we're gonna need tinder, which are gonna be small matchstick size twigs and stuff like that will burn very easily. Then we're gonna need a fuel source, which is gonna be bigger pieces of wood. We're gonna have to collect all those things, because that's one of the most important things, is having all your stuff ready to go. Because once you get a fire going, once you get that spark to ignite something, you're gonna need to fuel it quickly. So we're gonna go look around for that. I'm gonna show you guys a couple of things over here and that work, and just go from there. So as far as the kindling goes, you wanna find stuff that's easily able to break down, that you can rough up and make a lot more fibrous. The more we can break down the material and get it powdery, or just break up those fibers, the faster and the easier it'll take a spark and actually catch a flame. Think of it like this. You can't just take a log, just a regular log, and cast a spark on it and think it's gonna catch fire. But if you have something, let's say like toilet paper, or something very fine, thin, broken down really nice, and you cast a spark into that, you're gonna get a flame. So that's what we're kind of looking for, is stuff that we can break down very easily. So being here in Florida, we don't have a lot of stuff like that, like as far as, or in my area, as far as like grass or something. Right now, we have a lot of greenery, so we gotta make do what we have. We could use this right here. Even though this is sitting on the ground, it's not wet, we could break this up and make this fibrous. This'll catch. And then we've also got, if you look up into these here palmettos, obviously use heavy caution, because of rattlesnakes and stuff like that like to hang out in these things. But there is a fibrous material on these here palmettos, and it's usually right in the center behind, like where they kind of split out at. So we're gonna try to look around and see if I can find one that's gonna be easy to get to. There is one right there, and I see a lot of fibers, but it's kind of deep in there, and I don't really feel like crawling into that. Okay, so this right here is a perfect example of what I mean about the fibers. And this is a tree that we can easily get to and pluck off of. You see, I see all this right here. It's almost like hair. So if we can dig some of that out of there, just find a patch where we can rip some off, that stuff catches really, really well. See that right there? So I'm gonna gather up a bunch of that. And I'm also gonna show you guys another way that you guys can make fire without having to use this, just by processing down wood. All right, so we got a bundle right there. That should be plenty for what we need. All right, so this is what our processed pile looks like. So we're ready to go from this point pretty much. So what I have here is the kindling, the main source that we're gonna ignite, which are those fibers. I'm gonna actually rough those fibers up even more. I'll show you guys that close up later to make sure we really catch a spark. But this stuff does burn very well and easy. So I'm just gonna put a rock on that to keep that from blowing, because it is a little bit windy today. And then we've got our tinder right here, which are small matchstick size pieces of wood that's gonna take a flame quickly. And then we've got our fuel right here. So these are the bigger pieces that we're gonna feed the fire with. And then if you look right here, there's another random piece of wood here. And what we're gonna do with this is I'm gonna use my knife, and I'm actually gonna carve or scrape wood shavings off this. To use the actual ferro rod itself, like I said before guys, 90-degree edge on the blade here. Never use, or I'm not gonna say never, but don't use the actual blade itself. You'll ruin your blade that way. It's better to use the back side right here to cast your sparks. But if it was an emergency situation and you had to, I would use the blade, but I would only use one small area, probably in the back here, and not dull out or damage the rest of the profile up here in the front, the working profile. But what you want to do is you want to take your ferro rod, hold it in one hand, nice and firm, and then your knife in the other hand, and you kind of want to hold the knife edge at like a 45-degree angle there. I don't know if you guys can kind of see that angle here on camera, but we're going to hold it at about a 45, about there, and then we're going to scrape in this direction off. So you hold it firm. I like to put my thumb on the blade itself to give me more control, and I'm going to apply downward pressure down towards the ferro rod itself, while also applying upward pressure with the ferro rod. So they're both kind of pushing into each other as you're holding it to that 90-degree, and then you're gonna just flake it off, just like that. And you see I'm going really slow, but you guys see I'm creating really thick sparks right here, and I'm not even applying that much pressure. The more pressure you apply, the more you're gonna scrape off this thing, the hotter those sparks are gonna be, and the longer that they're gonna burn. So you can really crank down and create massive amounts of heat. So hold it at that 90-degree, and look, I'm just gonna hold it with like 3 fingers right here, and I should be able to get a spark. So you see, look, it doesn't really take a lot. It's all about holding it at that right angle. And what I'm doing now is I'm just kind of rolling it around, and you might be able to hear it kind of breaking up. I'm just gonna work this around, break those fibers up. The knife at one side and then pull back on the ferro rod. That way I don't risk bumping this. See, it's already lit. It's already lit and it's going quick. All right, so I wasn't able to get that to ignite. I almost had it to ignite, so what I just did now is I just carved some feather sticks. So we're gonna try the process all over again and see if we can get this fire going. That's the goal, is to get the fire going. All right, there we go. So it took a little bit of work. It's really windy, so that's also another good thing to practice. That way you kind of have an idea on what to do, how to do it. And we did get it going. We just had to make some feather sticks, which I should have combined with the kindling. That would have been a guarantee for sure. But you know, all you need is just these 2 things here. And we have fire and heat, and we have a way to boil water and cook food. And we have a light source for at night, and something to also keep predators and stuff away. So, and it's a morale booster. So really cool that we can do that. So we're able to make that fire, really cool. And we didn't use any matches, we didn't use gas or any type of accelerant. We didn't even use a Bic lighter. We did it good old fun way, and we learned a lot as well, you know, doing this in the wind. It always makes it a challenge, and especially picking up like just wood that's on the ground. It could be still damp and stuff from like morning dew, but we still were able to make it work. And I highly encourage you guys to get out and practice. Like I said, you can get these from Amazon for 10 bucks. You can get a $15, $20 knife that just has a good spine, and you'll be all right to make fires and stuff just like that. It doesn't take a lot of money, and it's not super difficult to do. So I would just recommend that you get out, practice a little bit, and have fun. If you have kids, teach your kids this kind of stuff, because you never know when it could come in handy. And just old traditions, you know, they're dying, and everybody's relying on technology and stuff like that. But I feel like it's good to get back to the roots and get back to the basics. All right, guys, we're gonna end the video here. And if you can, just do me a favor, hit the thumbs up to help get the video into the algorithm, help the channel grow. Also too, you know, like, is this something you guys have ever practiced before? Have you done it? Have you done it in the rain? Have you done it in the wind? I'd like to hear your thoughts on it. If you haven't, I highly recommend that you give it a try. It's very satisfying and rewarding, and it's just a fun thing to do. So we're gonna end it here. I'll see you in the next one. Peace.